Hello and welcome. So today it is all about the art of effortless elegance and sophistication. You are graceful, you're stylish, you're chic, but there's a simplicity to it. That is the vibe we're going to focus on today. I have 12 fragrances for you, and within those 12 fragrances, I've included Middle Eastern fragrances, Western niche fragrances, and designer. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and in this channel, we love to talk about fragrances because we love to smell fabulous at all times. I upload videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and sometimes you even get a bonus video for the week. If that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, guys, so as I said in the opening, I have 12 fragrances that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I just wanted to tell you that, in my opinion, elegance has nothing to do with age and everything to do with the way that you carry yourself, the way that you put yourself together. You're stylish, you're graceful, the way that you walk, the way that you talk, and of course, the way that you smell. So today I'm going to be sharing with you these fragrances, and I also want to let you know that I've picked fragrances that are specific to spring and summer elegance. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first fragrance that I have for you today is Sospiro Bel Canto. Guys, I can't speak highly enough of Bel Canto. You know, when it comes to Sospiro, of course, we've all heard about vibrato, and there's dolce melodia that we all talk about, and of course we all love. But Bel Canto is one of those fragrances that if you've never gotten your nose on it, you really need to try it. Get a decant or get a sample. I don't think that it's necessarily not a safe blind buy, but I just think that at this price point, this is a fragrance that you definitely want to get your nose on before you decide to commit for a bottle. This fragrance is really the epitome of elegance. There is no way that you're going to spray yourself with this fragrance after you're dressed and not feel, I don't know, a certain kind of way. There will be a change to the way that you walk and the way that you conduct yourself in general, because this fragrance is very mood altering. It's not necessarily one of those addictive fragrances, but it does shift your mood and make you feel a certain kind of way. This fragrance is beautiful. It is quite woody. It is very powdery, but it's not a powdery that's like unbearable or just too much. No, it's just enough powderiness to make it exquisitely elegant. It's also got like this earthy quality to it, and it has quite a bit of vanilla. This is a fragrance, guys, that whenever you wear this, whether it's an informal event or a formal event, you are going to call so much attention for sure. And do not be surprised at the number of compliments that this fragrance gets you. Needless to say, the performance of this fragrance is exquisite. It will definitely get you a good 7 to 8 hours. And this is not a fragrance that I necessarily overspray, because again, when I pull it, it's because I'm looking for that elegant vibe, and this is a pretty strong fragrance. So if you overspray, it may become one of those fragrances that when you walk into the room, they know that you've arrived, and maybe not in a very good way. So if you want to remain elegant and graceful and stylish, just don't overspray, and you're still going to get yourself 7 to 8 hours, if not more. This is also a fragrance that's perfect for any occasion. You can dress it down, you can dress it up, and definitely you could wear it for a very, very special occasion. Whether you're going to a spring wedding or a summer wedding or a bridal shower or a baby shower type of occasion is perfect for this fragrance. The next fragrance that I have for you is KHADLAJ Sensuous Night. So this is the fragrance that you want to pull for those warm summer nights or even those warm spring evenings where you want to feel sensuous and alluring and very sexy. This is definitely not a fragrance to be used during the daytime, in my opinion, at all whatsoever. This fragrance really smells like a night occasion type of fragrance. And by the way, not just any occasion. As I said, for an occasion where you want to feel very, very sexy and alluring. Although this fragrance is one that is really, really sexy, it's also a fragrance that will make you feel extremely elegant. There's a sophistication to this fragrance that I really can't explain. And I must also tell you that the combination of notes in this fragrance are really, really interesting, but they come together absolutely beautifully. Sweet, it is tropical, it has some beautiful florals, it has like jasmine, and it also has some rose, and for me, most importantly, and giving it like that incredible touch of sophistication, is a beautifully done violet. But you know, guys, it's really interesting because this fragrance is also fruity and it has a coconut in it that gives it like a creamy quality. Then at the base, it brings in some patchouli, it has some amber, and there's like a warmth that comes along with it. And then that fruitiness is never cloying. That violet does bring a tad bit of powderiness, but not much. So all in all, there's also like a fresh feel to the fragrance. I tell you, this fragrance is one that I haven't understood for a while why it hasn't received a bit more attention, because CADLAJ fragrances are really respected because they do have excellent quality, but this one has not received as much attention as I think it should have. I have only really used it for 2 night occasions. I received it and I tested it for a couple of days, and then I did use it for 2 different date nights. And I have to tell you, this is definitely a fragrance that you want to reserve for nighttime only, if you know what I mean. This fragrance will definitely get you some attention, and it's definitely going to get you compliments. It is a fragrance that is bordering on beast on my skin. You are going to get 8+ hours with it, but since you're using it for night occasions, you really don't need 8 hours. But you are going to have a strong projection during the first 2 to 3 hours, and then at that point it becomes a scent bubble. And to me, on my skin, it never becomes a skin scent. It just continues to be a scent bubble all along. But the funny thing is that if you go to an event and then you come home and you, of course, you change into your pajamas, but let's say you don't shower, you are going to smell this fragrance the next day all over your sheets. This is really a very, very beautiful fragrance, very elegant. It gives an air of sophistication and class that's just unbelievable. So this next fragrance is from my favorite fragrance house, and you guys already know it's XERJOFF, and I am speaking about K-Bridge Club. Now guys, if you've never gotten your nose on this fragrance, you really, really need to try it. When I tell you, this is one of the most beautiful rose-centric fragrances that I have ever sniffed, and certainly one of my favorites within my collection. K-Bridge opens with a ton of rose, oh my goodness, and vanilla. But this combination just never ceases to amaze me, because it is something that you would think, okay, it's a rose fragrance, Arahi, what's the big deal? And vanilla, okay, well, we've seen that in so many fragrances. But no, guys, there's something very different about this rose and vanilla combination. This fragrance is also sweet, and to top it all off, it has a beautifully done caramel note that goes exquisitely with that vanilla and that rose. All in all, what I'm getting is a rose that is quite fresh and young, like it just bloomed. And then I'm getting that vanilla that wraps in that sweetness around it. And then to add depth to that combination, you have that incredible caramel note. And then there's also like this balsamic quality to it that, oh my goodness. I tell you, this fragrance is just elegance in a bottle. This is absolute elegance and sophistication in a bottle, because you are going to have that rose smell, but there is just something so different altogether about this fragrance. This is a fragrance, guys, that is going to get you 8 hours plus for sure, and you're going to get a strong projection, sometimes up to 3 hours if you overspray, because I do overspray this fragrance, not because it needs it, but because I super love it and I want to make sure that it'll just go with me all day long. This is a fragrance that you can dress down and you can dress up. You can use it for any occasion. It is perfect for spring and summer, but this is one that I not only pull during those seasons, but all throughout the year, because I love to also layer with it. Anyway, let me know if you've ever gotten your nose on Cambridge Club from XERJOFF. So the next fragrance that I have for you is one that I am telling you, this fragrance is all about elegance and sophistication. I really believe that the perfumer focused on creating that vibe, because from the moment you spray this fragrance, there is something that comes over you. You feel a certain kind of way. And I'm speaking about Giorgio Armani Privé VERT Malachite. This is a very white florals centric kind of fragrance. And you know, even though they don't disclose it, there's like a little bit of greenness to it, which adds that additional air, in my opinion. This fragrance is a bit sweet, not very much, but it is sweet. What I love about this fragrance and what I think makes it so special is a very interesting combination of white florals and yellow florals. It also has like this balsamic quality to it. It also has a touch of citrus notes and a bit of woodiness, which gives it like almost like a very dark kind of character. But at the same time, this fragrance is just fresh. To my nose, it's not a freshie. Don't get me wrong, because this is not a freshie at all. But there's a freshness to it. I think added by that touch of greenness that I told you about before. But all in all, those white florals are definitely the star of this fragrance, even though they have been done so beautifully and blend so well that you really have to really sniff to really distinguish the different types of florals between the whites and the yellow. There's also some vanilla here, and the vanilla plays very well, and I pick up on the vanilla from the opening of the fragrance all the way to the dry down. But at the dry down, what I'm getting is that vanilla with some florals, the backdrop of like some sweetness and like some woodiness. But I tell you, this fragrance is absolutely exquisite. It is definitely going to get you compliments, and it is a fragrance that whenever you wear a certain kind of outfit and you finish the look with this fragrance, you are automatically going to have a change in the way that you walk. You are going to feel a certain kind of way. You're going to feel stylish, you're going to feel graceful, you're going to feel beautiful, and you are going to feel like you can just conquer the world. An incredible fragrance. Now this next fragrance is the fragrance that you want to pull when you do want to feel elegant and sophisticated, but at the same time, you want to let them know that you've arrived. And I am speaking about EX-NIHILO's Burberry Immortals. I've talked about this fragrance on the channel before because this is a fragrance, guys, that is so special. This fragrance, as the name calls it, really makes you feel like an immortal. You feel like you're elevated, like you're walking on air. It is just very interesting. This fragrance is such an incredible fragrance. Oh my goodness, guys. It is warm, spicy. It has some vanilla to it. There's some rose. I immediately pick up on the patchouli, but the patchouli has been done exquisitely, and it just plays well with all of the other notes in the fragrance. It is a bit sweet, and it also has a bit of like a metallic quality to it, while at the same time it also is a bit balsamic. I tell you, this is not a fragrance that I would say is a common type of composition at all. And I have to be honest with you, when I first picked it up, it took me a while to really fully appreciate it, because this is a fragrance that makes a very, very bold statement. And this is not a fragrance that's necessarily loud or anything like that. It is a fragrance that, again, commands attention. So you have to be in a certain type of mood to pull this fragrance off, because I am telling you, whenever you finish an outfit with this fragrance, you're automatically going to feel a certain kind of way. And once you arrive to your occasion or event or whatever you're doing, this is a fragrance that's really going to get you into a lot of conversations, and people are going to want to know what you're wearing. It is a delightful fragrance that also performs incredibly. This is definitely an 8+ hours fragrance. And I would say that this is one that you can get away with wearing all throughout the year. And it's also one that I would reserve for afternoon and evening and late night occasions. Not necessarily just evening and night, but I would say that this is not a fragrance, for example, that I would wear to the gym, or that I would, if I'm going to go bike riding, I'm not going to pull this fragrance. But if you have something going on in the afternoon, whether it's casual or a bit more formal, or if you have something during the evening, this is perfection. You are going to feel beautiful and elegant. This next fragrance that I have for you is a Middle Eastern fragrance. And I tell you, I don't hear enough about this fragrance, because this is definitely elegance in a bottle. And no, it's not Fleur Oud, because you're probably expecting me to pull Fleur Oud any minute. No, I made sure to pull fragrances that I haven't discussed recently, and I am speaking about AFNAN Edict AMBERYTHME. This fragrance, guys, oh my goodness, please let me know if you own this fragrance, because I know that some of you did pick it up. This fragrance is absolutely exquisite. Not only does it smell beautiful, but I am telling you, it is an elegance type of fragrance. You are definitely going to feel a certain kind of way. But you know what I really love about this fragrance is that it's one of those fragrances that, although it has that elegant vibe, you could wear this fragrance like with a pair of jeans or a pair of shorts and some sneakers and a nice shirt, and you are still going to feel absolutely elegant. There is something about this fragrance that brings an air of sophistication that is just very, very unique. This fragrance is very ambery. It's warm, spicy. It has some white florals, but honestly, I don't pick up on the white florals too much. They're always there to my nose in the background, but they're like a little bit weak. It has some woodiness to it, and I pick up on the woodiness almost at the opening. The woodiness is present, but it's not like it's overbearing. No, the woodiness just brings depth to the fragrance. And it also has like a balsamic quality, which to my nose pairs really, really well with a very strong note of cinnamon. So if you're not into cinnamon fragrances, this may not be for you. It's not that the cinnamon is overbearing or anything like that. It's just that it's really present. And that cinnamon is the one that really gives the fragrance that spiciness that I alluded to a couple minutes ago. This fragrance has very good performance. And one of the things that I also love about it is that the sillage is more than moderate. This is definitely a fragrance that will leave a trail, which also lends for you having conversations around it, because you're going to pass groups or you're going to pass people and they're going to follow you wanting to know what you're wearing. This next fragrance is absolutely beautiful, and I am speaking about KHALTAAT Al Arabia Royal Blends. Oh, this fragrance, guys, and especially for like spring and summer, because this fragrance, oh my goodness, it opens quite fruity. But you know what's interesting is that it used to be that whenever I would hear, well, it's a fruity kind of fragrance, I would think, oh boy, okay, so it's going to be more like for summer, and it's not a fragrance that I'm going to use for like special occasions or for special events. It's going to be like more of a casual type, of fragrance. But guys, that is so not the case, as we know. But with this fragrance, oh my goodness, it's very fruity. It's fresh, spicy. It's a little bit powdery. There's some woodiness to it. But you know, I just absolutely love this fragrance. The way that it's been done is just masterfully, because that fruitiness never takes over the fragrance, but at the same time, like, you know that this is a fruity centric type of fragrance without it becoming cloying or annoying or obnoxious or just a bit too much, right? And because the fragrance is so balanced, even though it has that fruity vibe to it, it's a fragrance that you can dress up, you can dress down, you can use it for any occasion, and you will feel extremely elegant and sophisticated with it. This is a fragrance that has no performance issues. It does have a moderate sillage. I've only, you know, in wearing this fragrance, I've only ever gotten, if I recall correctly, just one compliment, but this is a beautiful fragrance, guys. Just let me know if you guys have tried this fragrance. So this next fragrance is one of the newest fragrances in my collection, but when I tell you, from the first moment I sniffed this fragrance, I fell in love immediately. And I thought about not necessarily pulling it for this lineup today because it is a very new fragrance, but honestly, guys, from the first moment you sniff this fragrance, you are going to know that this is all about elegance. And I'm speaking about Cashmir Pao Santo from Donna Karan. Now, I just had this fragrance recently in a video, maybe about a month or a month and a half ago when I first picked it up. And this fragrance, as soon as I sniffed it, I knew that I wanted just about every other fragrance in the collection. And I did pick up the one that has the fig, and I am planning to pick up the others. But this one, this is such an elegant fragrance. There is no doubt. Oh my goodness. Guys, have you gotten your nose on this one? Because this one is really, really incredible. Oh my goodness. It's woody, it's ambery, it's musky. It has some citrus notes that balance out that woodiness and that amberiness. It is just done so right. It has a very good amount of vanilla, which just brings a bit of sweetness to the fold. It is just exquisite. This is a fragrance that, oh my goodness. And then the packaging, the bottle is quite weighty and the cap is magnetic and it's also quite heavy. It's just luxury all around. From the moment you decide that you're going to wear this fragrance with an outfit, you're going to start to feel that elegance and sophistication vibe, because that is what this fragrance is all about. So this fragrance does perform well, but not as well as all of the others in this group, if I'm honest with you. This is a fragrance that if I don't overspray, I get 6 to 7 hours. But if I overspray, it does bring me right to the 7-hour mark. So this is a fragrance that I do spray, and I do bring like a little sample that I had received before picking it up. But the good thing about this fragrance is that the sillage is above moderate. Oh my goodness, guys, you are going to get so many compliments. This fragrance is just exquisite. It's just absolutely exquisite. And also, this is a fragrance that I would pull all throughout the year. This is not just for spring and summer. And to be honest with you, on very hot summer days, there's a warmth to this fragrance that I think may be a bit much for a hot summer day. For spring, I think it's perfect all throughout. And for those summer days that are not stifling hot. So the next fragrance that I have for you is from a fragrance house, guys, that I am absolutely in love with. And it seems that quite frequently I do pull a fragrance from this fragrance house to talk to you about it because I just really love it. And I'm speaking about BOIS 1920, and this one is FRAMMENTI. FRAMMENTI, guys, is such a versatile and beautiful fragrance. This is definitely a fragrance that you can pull all throughout the year. You could also make this fragrance your signature scent and ensure that you are always smelling elegant and sophisticated. This is definitely signature scent worthy. But the versatility of this fragrance is that there's some florals, there's some fruitiness here. It's just such a beautiful combination of notes. Within the florals, there's a very dominant rose note. But that rose is like one of those like dewy roses. Not that it's necessarily like a sweet rose, but it does border on a sweet rose because the fragrance is definitely sweet. Not super sweet, but it is a sweet fragrance. There's some caramel here. It also has like this green note to it, which just adds more like depth to the fragrance and makes it crisp. Because I feel that if it didn't have that green note in it, it would be a bit cloying. Because when I tell you that that rose is a bit sweet and then all those other florals and then that caramel note really does a number on the fragrance. It is just exquisite. It is such a different kind of floral fragrance while also being completely fruity because it is very, very fruity. But altogether, this fragrance is absolute elegance. And to me, this is one of those fragrances that is a different kind of elegant. It's like a modern elegant fragrance, right? Because there are classical elegant fragrances and they don't all smell the same. That's not what I'm trying to say, but there's just something about this fragrance that to my nose speaks to like a modern glam and elegance. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on this fragrance and your thoughts. This fragrance also performs very well. At the 2-hour mark, it does become a skin scent, but it's one of those skin scents that gives you wafts all throughout the day. You're going to be smelling yourself and just absolutely loving it. This is not a fragrance that I overspray because typically when I pull it, it's because I want that air of elegance and sophistication, but I want it to be smooth and like silk-like, which is what I get from this fragrance. So this next fragrance is a Middle Eastern fragrance that I've discussed here on the channel before. And guys, this fragrance any day now may just debunk Flor Oud because it is that exquisite. This fragrance is so underrated. I've never heard anybody talk about it, but I am speaking about RASASI's Elite Lady. This is another fragrance, guys, that is truly signature scent worthy. This is such a beautiful, elegant fragrance. This is a fragrance that, in all honesty, you can wear to the office. You can wear it for a casual occasion, for a formal event, for a semi-formal event. This is just very, very versatile, which is why I'm saying it's like perfection for a signature type of scent. There's some fruitiness here. There's some florals. It's sweet, but it's not very sweet. It's just like a touch sweet because it's one of those fragrances that even though it performs exquisitely, it is also like very smooth, which is what adds to that air of elegance and sophistication. As soon as I smell it, that's what I feel. That's what I get. It just puts you in that kind of vibe. This fragrance has some pineapple, some peach. I get like a little bit of an apple of some sort, but primarily what I'm getting in the opening immediately is that pineapple and that peach. And then there's like some florals and I clearly distinguish a rose. And the rose is not a young rose, but it's not a mature rose either. And then there's some jasmine and the jasmine is quite dominant. The jasmine takes over for the rose. Also like a tad touch of oud. There is definitely oud in this fragrance, but this is not one of those fragrances that because it has oud, you need to be concerned about it. Trust me, in the oud meter, I would say that this is like a 2 out of 5. It's just that I do get a faint note of oud in the background. It also has definitely patchouli in here, which brings a little bit of creaminess to it. And I also am pretty sure there's sandalwood here. And at the base, this is a musk fragrance. But when I tell you guys, this fragrance is absolutely exquisite. You are going to feel so beautiful. This is also a fragrance that without overspraying gets me 6 to 7 hours. And it does have a moderate sillage and a moderate projection because around the hour and a half mark, it does become a scent bubble. And then around hour 3, it does become a skin scent. But it is one of those fragrances that gives you wafts of it all throughout the day. It's also a fragrance fragrance that has garnered me a couple of compliments every time I use it. Not just one compliment, there seems to be a thing about it. There's just such an air of beauty around this fragrance. I have highly recommended it before, and I'm going to continue to encourage you to try Elite Lady from RASASI. Now, this next fragrance is for my violet lovers, because I think that just about of all of my violet and iris fragrances, this one, oh my goodness, this one is the epitome of elegance and sophistication in a bottle. And I am speaking about AMOUAGE Reflection Woman. Guys, this is an unbelievable fragrance. Oh my goodness. And you know what? I barely hear people talk about it. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about it. This fragrance is all about the florals. It has a ton of white florals, but then there's that violet. Oh my goodness. And that violet brings on like a powdery dry down, but it's a very light powderiness, just like very demure, that kind of gives this fragrance like a weird, sophisticated, smooth vibe. It is just amazing. And it also has like a touch of greenness, which keeps the fragrance rather crisp, because the white florals are quite dominant, but this is not one of those white floral fragrances that's going to give you a headache at all. It is just done exquisitely. This is a fragrance that on skin gets me 8+ hours without fail. And it is definitely a fragrance that when I'm going to a special event, I love to wear, because it does make me feel elegant and beautiful and sophisticated, but it also gets me compliments. Let me know if you've ever tried this fragrance, because I tell you, I rarely, if any, hear people talk about it, and I just think it's just absolutely exquisite. So the last fragrance that I have for you today is from a fragrance house that is really challenging my favorite, which is XERJOFF. I think that this fragrance house is going to end up taking that spot very soon, because I am just in love with it, and it will not be a surprise to you. But this fragrance is truly the epitome of elegance and sophistication in a bottle, and for any season, any occasion. I am speaking about WIDIAN's ASWAN. Now guys, this is my favorite fragrance from WIDIAN, and I have mentioned it before in other videos where I've talked about other WIDIAN fragrances in my collection. But this one is my favorite. This fragrance, when I tell you, it is exquisite. And it has such a combination of notes. It has a ton of notes, but I don't know how they have managed to make a masterpiece of a fragrance. This fragrance is sweet and fruity and has like a touch of a leather note. If you're concerned about leather and you don't like leather fragrances, you don't have to be concerned here. The leather note is present, but when I tell you, it has been blended beautifully. There's some citrus notes in here, and I don't understand, oh my goodness, I don't understand how they've done it, but there's also an aquatic note in here, which gives the fragrance quite a bit of an aquatic quality. In addition to the citrus notes, it also has quite a number of fruity notes, and it's also like a bit powdery. And the powderiness, as soon as you sniff the fragrance, you are going to pick up on the powderiness, but it's very light, but it continues to intensify until the dry down, where it is a powdery dry down, but not an excessive, because there's nothing excessive in this fragrance. All of the notes play together so beautifully. This is a fragrance, guys, that gets me compliments galore every time I wear it without fail. There is just such a love between this fragrance and I really recommend that you get a decant, you get a sample, because this is not a fragrance that I think is definitely a safe blind buy, but I do think that it is a fragrance that if you like it, you are going to fall head over heels and hard for it. Alright guys, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I really hope that I was able to provide you with a good selection of fragrances that will definitely give you that vibe of elegance and sophistication and make you feel a certain kind of way as soon as you spray them on. If you've tried any of these fragrances, please leave me your opinion in the comments section. I'm really curious. And if you're planning to try any of them, please let me know, because then I'm going to want to know how you feel about it. Thank you so much for hanging with me today as always, and I will see you in the next video.